coming up against your old mate?
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to coaching for the first time this year. I mean, as much as Nixie's been filling in, still been around the club, but it's good to get back into game day, and obviously against Phil, it's just a little bit more exciting.
How have you handled watching Nixie out there and you having to hold back?
Oh, look, pretty well. It hasn't really. I think we made the decision to let Matthew have a go at the job because we thought it was great for his development, which was in turn helps us become a better coaching group. So I think that's good for us, good for the players to hear a different voice at some stage, and then for me, it's obviously a good opportunity to sit back without too much of a focus on what's actually happening in the moment, and I can just watch the bigger picture a bit better.
I mean, you've done a lot of coaching, but do you feel ready for round one, given that this will be the first?
Yeah, I'm ready. Don't worry, I'll be okay.
Doesn't matter. I mean, no challenges about getting players ready for round one, but is it like that for coaches as well?
Yeah, I've been ready since September last year for round one, so I'm looking forward to being involved, and I have been involved all the way through. So the only thing is tomorrow I get to do what I feel most comfortable at, and that's sit in the chair.
Speaking of September last year, Walshy mentioned something yesterday about an incident in the coaches' box in the third quarter. Is there anything in that or not?
Well, I did check out what that press conference was about with Phil, because someone told me something that Phil said, and I think both Phil and I will remain pretty private. It was nothing significant. It was just the way we played in the third quarter, and Phil and I, we were significant in what the team was doing at that stage, and we both had a part to do with that, and it was nothing. It was just an in-game incident that we both would laugh about, I'm sure.
But you made a mistake?
No, we didn't make a mistake. Hawthorn were too good.
Okay.
That's what was going on. If you ask Phil, the simple answer is Hawthorn were too good at that stage.
Yeah, okay.
Heading back to Footy Park on the weekend, is that a bit of deja vu, or is it nice to head back there?
I'd rather go to Adelaide Oval, if you ask me. I'm being honest. I'd rather go to Adelaide Oval, but we know the regional challenge is about what it is, and it's good to be able to go over, and it's going to be a great venue. Great, the Oval's in pretty good shape from what I believe. So we look forward to the opportunity. It's not unfamiliar to each team. We're both used to playing there, so it's only 12 months ago. But I think if we both had our choices, we'd be playing at Adelaide Oval now.
There was a story the other day about Jesse H coming out of contract. Would you be keen to look at him? I guess everybody would be keen because he's a good player. Yeah,
they're questions you don't want to get involved with answering, but the honest answer is any high-quality players that are available and are considering coming, if coming back to Adelaide was the example, well, of course you'd have some interest in them, but they're so far off the mark at the moment with what's going to happen, and I understand that that's the job of the press is to write those stories, but the likelihood is most of the people that everyone talk about, they often just stay where they are. And there's a lot of speculation, and they're just not stuff I get involved with.
Sure. I did read another interesting story about Chris Judd saying that he's actually building up, as in putting on weight in the back part of his body. You're going a bit leaner this year, aren't you?
No, it's a myth.
You're not
it's a myth.
Leaner?
No, we're not leaner.
Okay.
It's an absolute myth. We're leaner. We're actually heavier than we were. If you ask me across the board,
Is that right?
we're actually heavier by the numbers.
Well, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked too, because I did hear the same story that we're leaner because we're training hard or we're running hard, but that's not the fact.
You're not across the board.
No, you'll lose some size at some stage with some players who leave your football club, and you replace them with young players. That happens, but no, we're no leaner.
Ollie Wines has talked about sort of putting on more muscle. So is he heavier or is he?
That's exactly what you want them to do. You want young players, and Ollie's a young player. You want them to lose a bit of the puppy fat, as we talk about, and turn it into muscle. And that's exactly what most young players do, and not just Ollie. Every young player, Jake Need would have done the same. So that's just the way it goes. And ideally, every player would have really low skinnies and lots of muscle.
So it makes them look a bit slimmer, but in fact they're probably heavier than what they were.
Yeah, I think, as I said, all I can tell you is what the numbers tell me. The numbers tell me we're 0.6 of a kilo heavier over the squad. So if are we that fine-tuned, I don't know, but that's where we're at. So we're not lighter.
Koshy came out on radio this morning and said, we heard it last year, he wants to be the first, he wants Port to be the first team to play for premiership points over in China. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll leave that to David to organise, and if that's a great decision for our football club, we'd as a football club we'd support any of that stuff that we need to do, and we are about growing our brands, no doubt about that. Not just in Adelaide, we love our members and our community here in Adelaide, but we need to make Port Adelaide relevant all over Australia, and then if we can go international, let's do it. Let's have a go at it.
Chad was out there before, just run through, testing out the knee with his agility stuff. Is he tracking all right?
Yeah, he's really good. We're really comfortable that Chad's okay. Obviously, there's still a decision to be made because Chad's probably going to go into round one not having played a game of football, as Jackson will. Hamish has at least had a little bit of football, and so we've got some decisions to make. We've still got, if you look at the side that's selected for tomorrow, I think we're about 6 or 7 away from, if we had them all fit and firing where we possibly could be. So, there's still a bit to go for us.
Because if you're just sort of watching on from the sidelines, it looks like Jacko might be just a little bit ahead of him in terms of where he's at coming.
He's definitely ahead of where Chad is, but Jackson had his little bit of surgery sometime before it. But Chad's is slightly different. I mean, when you get them to this point, Chad's is about when he can start twisting and turning and doing what he can, which you've seen out there today. He's doing that, so that's not a problem. Jackson's is about the competitive side of the game, and he's not going to test that until very late because we don't need to.
What about Hamish? When can we expect to see him?
Could have nearly played tomorrow, and we made the decision not to play him tomorrow, so we're being conservative with Hamish and making sure he's right for round one.
So those 3 are still firmly round 1 possibilities?
Yeah. As I sit here today, I expect to pick the 3 of them in round one, which some people say, well, that's a risk, but I expect that will be the case.
If you're changing these pre-season, are you thinking that we've got it right at the minute with 3 matches?
I think most clubs have shown that they like to, that they used to, and I like the third one because it allows us to give young players an opportunity. I think it's a great opportunity for our young players last week to go and get a test against Richmond, who were really strong. It's great for their own development and their own education. They then go, and I've spoken to a lot of them this week, they go, yeah, I realise I've got some work to do, and that's what happens. But that can be, that can be done much higher because of the fact that they're playing with 16 or 17 younger players. If they're playing 1 or 2 of them with a group of more senior players, they're not as far away. So it's never as clear as it looks sometimes. You think, they're miles away. Well, they're not miles away because Carl Amon playing in a side that's full of mature age AFL players can certainly play good footy.
Coming into the weekend's game, how much, you've got almost a really strong squad, how much more experimenting were you doing, or is it a full dress rehearsal for round one?
Oh no, it's about getting ready for round one. There's no doubt about that. It's all about round one. It's not about tomorrow. It wasn't about last week or the week. It's all about getting ready. It's all part of the build up to round one. And we'll go into round one still thinking we've still got stuff we've got to get right, and we're not going to be sure about that. But we've used this time of the year to educate ourselves in where we can get stronger and where we still need to improve in other areas.
What do you do next week? What will you do next week?
With our boys?
Yeah.
It'll be a pretty stock standard training week, and they'll get 3 days off at the end of next week. And they'll have a little bit of a spell before they go. Their last rest before, round 12 or something before we get our next bye.
How focused on taking on the Crows tomorrow are you? Is it more about your game plan, or are you focusing on their playing style as well? Or?
Oh no, there's always an element of opposition that you have to worry about, but everyone will tell you it's 80% what you do and 20% what they're doing, and we understand that they're trying to get ready for round one as we are. Both sides at some stage tomorrow will look like they're going okay, and other stages they'll look like we're not going so good. So there's lots of room to improve still, but it's just another game for both teams to get ready for round one. And Phil's worried about North Melbourne, and I'm worried about Fremantle. I'm not worried about the Crows as such tomorrow. I'm more worried about what we're doing to see we're right for Fremantle.
But you still want to take out that win tomorrow? You still want to take out the win tomorrow?
Oh, we play to win every game, no doubt about that. I didn't like losing last week. I almost don't like losing match practice at training, but that's me. I can't help it. But we want to play to win. Every club does.
Are you a fan of the pre-season showdown, Ken? Or would you prefer to play another opponent?
No, I'm not a fan of it. I'm honest. I think it's a great game. It's a marquee game in the state, and we should protect it as much as we possibly can and put it out when it's significant. And it's we can prepare for round one without playing a showdown. I have no problems with playing the showdown, but I just think marquee games, you protect them as much as you can. You build them up. This state builds them up magnificently when we get going in showdowns. Just not sure that we need to have one now.
So if the alternative is to travel, would you prefer to do that to sort of maintain the integrity of the showdown?
National competition, we travel every second week, no big deal. I said the same thing to Gil and McLaughlin. I said I don't mind if we travel a week out, if we send him to Melbourne. If we do it one year, someone does it next year. Look, my view is the showdown should be protected.
Brilliant. Thanks guys. Cheers. Thanks all.